In 1987, Technos Japan set the arcade world on fire with the release of Double Dragon. Ported to virtually all the consoles and several sequels later, Billy and Jimmy Lee were household names in the beat-em-up genre. Teaming up for the fourth time on a Nintendo console, Super Double Dragon was poised for greatness, only to mark the cliff that the Lee brothers were about to jump off. Super Double Dragon has a lot of promise early on in the game. The sprites look good, music and sound are great, and you have a lot of new fighting mechanics to try out. The storyline is laid out in the manual, with Marion, now a policewoman, disappearing while infiltrating the Black Shadow Warriors. The game starts off by dropping you right in the middle of the action, beating on bad guys and working your way through the streets. But as you start fighting your way through the game, it becomes noticeable that this is not a finished product. There are no cutscenes or story to follow outside the manual. If you didn't have the manual, you would just think the Lee brothers are beating the crap out of everyone for fun. This is a step back in the series, as the previous games used cutscenes to tell a story. The fighting mechanics, while fun at first, are sluggish. You get several super moves, but because you move so slow, it is actually more harmful for you to use them. The best way to proceed through the game is to mash the punch button. And outside of the nunchucks, the weapons don't provide much help. The enemies themselves all have the same pattern: surround you on both sides and juggle you. This is super annoying, as it can be difficult to get out of this and oftentimes leads to death. They also love to block attacks, but for some reason, if you line two or more enemies up next to each other, they can't block anything. Years later, the game's planner would admit they wanted to do more with the game. It was planned to be longer, cutscenes, and have more fire/burning people. Marion was supposed to actually be in the game, and the ending was going to be bigger and longer. Instead, after battling through 7 missions, we were met with the text telling us what happened to the Double Dragons after the game. Despite the flaws, I really wanted to enjoy this game. Double Dragon 2 had a big impact on my gaming youth, but sadly this game just doesn't hold up. I found it challenging when I was younger because I was always trying to do all the moves. I remember even using the Game Genie for unlimited health, only to discover I couldn't get past the first baker because he also received unlimited health with the code. I think that was a sign right there on just how broken this game is. But as I mentioned before, the quality of this game was also a sign of what was to come of the Lee brothers, as soon after they had a terrible TV show, a fighter game, and finally one of the worst movies of all time before they disappeared from video game consoles for a long time. Super Double Dragon had a chance to be great, but a rush product makes it a must-skip nostalgia.